for tuning in to Born to Ride TV, the longest-running biker TV show in the world. This week,
today we are celebrating Wheels Through Time Museum founder Dale Walksler, a man who has impacted so many. Join us in his celebration and thank you to Wheels Through Time.
all this and more here on Born to Ride.
Born to Ride is brought to you in part by 866 Law Fran. Ride safe, ride smart. Offices in Palm Harbor.
I decided to pursue a career in law because it gives me an opportunity to help people. When a client chooses us to represent them, they're entrusting us with a huge responsibility. It's our goal to exceed their expectations with our personalized service and to help them to achieve the best possible recovery to compensate them for their injuries.
That's where we come in. We come in and we solve that problem for them and really set them on the right track in order to try and get back to what their life was like before the accident happened.
This is Willie, and you're watching Born to Ride TV. Right on.
And the way I got this motorcycle was one day when I had my bike shop. Somebody called me up and said, I'm bringing an old bike. You take bikes on trading? Well, yeah, sure, bring it up. And I was on a Saturday morning, I was standing in the showroom looking out the window, and I see a pickup truck come in, and all I could see was this bike from here up.
Wow.
And I'm going, that looks like me. We made some kind of diligent trade, and that's what I've done my whole life, is trade up, collect old bikes.
Yep.
And I try to keep a lot of the good ones.
Dale was a one-man hurricane. When he set his mind to doing something, it got done.
Sometimes you feel like you get exhausted just being around him because he just never stops.
Follow me, I'll show you what we're going to do today.
The average person might think this is just some piece of junk. What I see is a lot of opportunities.
A treasure hunter is always after the next treasure.
He was at the forefront of a lot of, kind of thought processes in the old bike world. He's one of the first guys to be really, really, really into originality, untampered with motorcycles, machines that had survived from barn finds to beautiful original paint, well-preserved stuff.
Walking swap meets with Dale. It was part social, part educational, and part just crazy. The people who would come up to him and talk to him at swap meets, people he'd known forever, all the stories you'd hear. But he was always the first one out there looking. And that speaks volumes about his personality. He was determined.
Dale Walksler worked all of his waking hours, again, fueled by his passion to get the job done. But we would come in, we would run the museum for 8 hours, we'd go out and have a dinner.
And then he would go, "You hear that? It's a 36 knucklehead engine calling me." And out the door he'd go, and he'd be in the shop till midnight.
The first 7 years, I believe, that the museum was open, the museum ran 364 days a year.
And a lot of times, he was the only person in that museum. I mean, if anybody came in, he did everything. It was, he worked from dawn to dusk. He was there before I got there at 6:30, and he was there late at night working on motorcycles, probably most of the night.
His dedication to this project and this museum was 24 hours a day. And it was not uncommon for him to call me any time of the night and say, I just wanted to run an idea by you.
Well, last night was a late night in the back shop working on the 1924, 1925 FH Hill Climber, and today's a whole new day.
Introducing the 1937 Harley-Davidson Knucklehead. Starting with an all-original Knucklehead engine, cradled in a genuine 1937 chassis and front end, then finished in 1-year-only Delphine blue, striped in teak red, and edged in gold. This 30-year collection of parts makes for the rarest raffle bike we've ever given away. Get your tickets for the 2022 Wheels Through Time raffle bike and help support the museum that runs.
World's only motorcycle rally on a cruise ship. Free drinks and 13 months to pay. And it sails October 29th through November 5th, 2022. $100 discount per cabin. Use promo code BTR. For more info, go to highseasrally.com. That's the High Seas Rally, October 29th through November 5th, 2022. Don't miss the High Seas Rally.
Running this museum is really no different than running this motorcycle. You have to know what you're doing, but you really have to have the passion for it.
I think many who would be, watching this, seeing this, could appreciate Dale's gift for having a dream about something, even something audacious, and then actualizing it, by putting in the work.
For a guy that was always motivated towards forward progress, I think, his vision was kind of ever evolving as he would set a goal, a lofty one, and he would get there, oftentimes sooner than he thought he would, and then readjust and recalibrate and raise the bar a little more, and then shoot in that direction. His vision was a continual refinement with an overall goal of affecting and connecting with people, and he did that through motorcycles.
So many people walk through the door and they wonder how one person, even in 52 years, could put together a collection of this size, and it was because of that passion that Dale had.
I've spent over 40 years tracking down rare machines, memorabilia, and artifacts, but the real find here at Wheels Through Time is the history behind the machines.
It's staggering to think that he began by buying a Survey car in his youth, starting a small motorcycle shop, then getting the backing of his dad, buying this Harley-Davidson dealership and being the youngest Harley-Davidson dealer ever, and then building it into this, again, world-class organization that serviced all kinds of folks from near and wide.
He recognized that beyond the dealership enterprise and what could be done with a dealership, there was a much broader, market for Dale's prowess in other American motorcycles and other American-made products, and his collection was already pretty amazing by then. He had a Wheels Through Time in Southern Illinois that was modest by comparison, but he was well on his way to, being a museum operator, curator when he was transitioning.
The growth of the museum from Mount Vernon to Maggie Valley is unparalleled. Mount Vernon, there was quite a few cars. Actually, Dale was a car collector, and he also liked old motorcycles, and it was a very worthy collection down in Mount Vernon, but it's nothing like it is at Wheels Through Time Museum today. It is phenomenal. I don't know, there's maybe bigger museums in the country, but there is none like Wheels Through Time Museum that has the bikes sitting out where you can walk around them, sit on them, hear them run. It's the museum that runs.
He kind of redefined what a museum is. Historically, museums are pretty quiet places, kind of dull. Not a lot of excitement and energy happening inside the museum, and his vision for Wheels Through Time was very different.
I mean, the Smithsonian collection is magnificent, but it doesn't run.
Pat and Chris knew that at Wheels Through Time, everything runs. There was no better place to see their machine come back to life. It's exactly what we do. Take old pieces of history and make them run. Kind of a simple thing. Just kick it. Making a digital presentation is nothing new for me. Over 10 years ago, I started with the Time Machine, and that parlayed into our hit television show, What's in the Barn on Velocity. By the way, that show airs all over the world today. I'm Dale Walksler, and I dig deep into America's barns. There is layers of history in here. I'm a hunter and a gatherer, on the trail for unique and antique. Oh, that's it. Yesterday's junk is today's hidden treasure. How could the glass not be cracked? It's a 103-year-old windshield. Because sometimes you have to know what's in the barn.
Once he started What's in the Barn, all of a sudden the museum admissions were hundreds and hundreds of people, where before it was only maybe 10 or 20 a day. All of a sudden we had hundreds of people coming in.
And after that, he came back to us on the History Channel for season 7 of American Restoration. The great news about all that television exposure was the exposure that Dale was getting and the museum was getting was just staggering. And of course, Dale being Dale, he also augmented that with his, foray into the social media.
He was so ahead of the curve in so many different avenues. One of the things I look back on, he was doing streaming videos in 2004, 2005. This is before YouTube was even a thing. He was creating hundreds of videos, creating a library, because he saw the future of television and the future of connecting with people done through the internet. And he put immense amounts of energy into that, and it still is paying off today. And his mission was really to keep Wheels Through Time in front of people, and he found a million ways to do it. There's things like the 24-hour runs and the coast-to-coast runs and the land speed record stuff that we all did with old bikes. He'd pour immense amount of thought and energy. Like the Fred Ham run, for example. We took a 1937 Harley-Davidson knucklehead and rebroke, or attempted to rebreak, the 24-hour record that was set in 1937 on a really similar bike. It was done by a guy named Fred Ham. And immense amount of effort went into, restoring the bike, hundreds and hundreds of hours. Making the connection with Talladega, assembling the team to go down there and try and re-break this record, all with the mission and vision of keeping Wheels Through Time in front of people, and it proved incredibly successful.
So one day I get a phone call from Dale. He says, we're going to ride coast to coast. You in? I said, what are you talking about? He says, you in? I said, yeah, sure, I'm in. What are we talking about? He said, a group of us are going to get these old motorcycles. They have to be 1915 or older. And we're going to ride coast to coast. We all rode out on, most of us were on 1915 Harleys. And we rode from Kitty Hawk, North Carolina to Santa Monica, California. And he would live for stuff like this. And every day he'd be out riding, and every night he'd be in the parking lot wrenching. Seldom on his own bike.
Dale was rescuing everybody. He was so kind and thoughtful and helping everybody and trying to work on his own bike, but everybody was in his trailer looking for parts and advice, and he was pretty patient.
That was Dale Walksler. always willing to help anyone and everyone on their bikes, never expecting anything in return, and then moving on to the next one. He was a force of nature in the vintage motorcycle world.
One day he got one of the old bikes out, I don't remember which one it was. It had a sidecar on it, and Shiloh, his dog, was riding in the sidecar with him, and he pulled up out front. He told Shiloh, he said, "Get out." He said, "Come on, Gerald, get in here." He didn't have a seat in it. He had a piece of foam in the bottom floor of that sidecar. And I got on that piece of foam in that sidecar on my knees, and he took me plumb to the top of the mountain behind this museum, throwing gravel and spinning and hanging on in that sidecar on my knees. And thank God I was hanging on, because he did not let up. That was my first sidecar experience in my life, and the last one. So,
riding out into the open air, the wind rushes over your helmet. Vibrations trigger your adrenaline. Fragments of color catch your eye. Your senses embrace the power of the journey. Welcome to my world. What's yours? Your ride, your pace, your story. Let's ride this May in Tallahassee.
Wildwood Antique Mall's 3 amazing locations in Florida to find your treasures. Vero Beach, Eustis, Wildwood. More than just antiques, tons of rare collectibles, toys, books, vintage furniture, records, jewelry, and so much more. Open 7 days a week. Great staff, clean and air conditioned. A great shopping pleasure for the whole family. Put it on your bucket list, because it's a must-see at these 3 locations. For more information, wildwoodantiquemalls.com.
We headed out of town, and we turned down this road, and there was a cornfield with a cable across the little farm road, which said no trespassing. And Dale, without hesitation, just rode up to it and lifted the cable up and waved me underneath it. And so we ended up going trail riding. I was on a Hemi Crocker, and he was on this original paint Harley 45. And at one point, I'm dragging all these weeds behind me with the Crocker, and I said, "Dale, what happens if I crash this thing and wreck it?" He goes, "Well, fix it." And that's just the way Dale was. I mean, there was nothing that he had that he didn't want to use.
Actually, the bike I'm going to do this on is about a $250,000 motorcycle.
People look around the museum and assume that motorcycles are what mattered most to Dale, and what really mattered most was people. He had this ability to relate to people and connect with people that is rare in this world. And most folks that knew Dale, or folks that had known him for 30 years, or folks that walked into the museum first time, ended up leaving feeling like they'd been friends for a long time, and he just had that effect on people.
He loved to know their personal stories. He liked to find out where they were from and what they did. And more importantly than anything, he made them feel welcome at Wheels for Time, and made everybody kind of unique in their experience who come to this museum.
He was a generous man, and not because he wanted people to know he was generous, but because that's who he is.
And some people would come in and never been here before, and he'd go out and welcome them and bring them on in for free. That was a big deal to them. It's a really, really big deal. And he done that a whole lot. He done that a whole lot.
Dale had the heart of an underdog, and he was all about sticking up for other underdogs. The thing about Dale is, even though he was like a little guy like I was, he was a pretty fearsome guy.
Dale would do things for people a lot of times without them even knowing. Numerous times we would go out to dinner, especially when we were traveling.
And Dale secretly calling the waitress aside on the way out and paying for their breakfast.
Every time I talked to him on the phone, he would say, is there anything that you need down here? You know, he was always a giving person, always willing to help, always a compassionate, understanding man.
And he looked at me and he goes, "You don't have a motorcycle lift?" And I said, "No, man, I just get on my knees and I build it right here on the floor." And he didn't say anything else. So about a week later, when he came back to pick the bike up, he pulls up in that little old minivan and he goes, "Come here, Gerald, help me." And I walk out in the parking lot, and here he's got a motorcycle lift he took out of the back of his shop, loaded it in that van, and brought me a lift.
Still got it.
It seems about impossible to describe my dad in one word or phrase, but if I had to pick one, it would be one of a kind.
Totally one of a kind, and just in any direction.
Visionary. Dynamic.
What a dynamic personality. So full of energy.
Rambunctious.
The ultimate enthusiasm.
Dedicated.
Relentless.
Passion. I don't think I've ever known anybody that had as much passion as he did.
Successful.
Confident.
Eccentric.
Extraordinary.
Amazing.
Sunny. I mean, he had a sunny disposition. He had an infectious enthusiasm about him.
Generous.
Romantic.
Dedicated.
Visionary dreamer.
A great man.
Knowledgeable, kind, thoughtful. There's just too many. I can't.
There is no one word that describes Dale Walksler. There couldn't possibly be one word to capture his beautiful, gigantic, outgoing, larger-than-life personality. There's just not one word.
When he first started collecting motorcycles, he had no idea what an impact he would have on the world.
I don't think that old motorcycles would be what they are today without Dale Walksler.
Harley Davidson owes Dale big time.
I always consider him, you know, one of my two greatest mentors. And, you know, people kind of, you know, as you go through life, kind of guide and direct you, and, you know, things happen. And when it came to antique motorcycles, we were on the same page, and we had great mutual respect and admiration for each other. And he taught me a ton, you know, across the board. And
he would dive into the history and the mechanics and the context out of which an individual machine emerged. He could not give that information away fast enough to our guests, and to me for that matter.
He wanted to share the story of the American motorcycle with every visitor that walked through the door. Not just to build a collection so people would think of how great he was, but he wanted the history of these bikes to be relatable to the guy who's been in the motorcycle world for his entire life, to the person who's never seen an antique motorcycle until they walk in the doors of the museum. The passion that he poured into this place is not just visible, but it's really, in a sense, palpable. You can feel it when you walk in the door.
And he was one of the smartest person that I've ever been around or ever met, which I've met a lot in the motorcycle business. And he knew, he had more knowledge of the motorcycle than anybody that I've ever known. He was like an encyclopedia. And he knew what part went everywhere. On top of being a genius, he was a good mechanic, a real good mechanic. So
I remember just watching him and just trying to stuff as much of Dale as I could in my brain. I always said, if you could just download a little bit of what you know into my brain, I would know so much about old motorcycles. And I think that's the thing about Dale.
He was a great connector. He would find objects and things and motorcycles, and when they were put together, they actually told the whole story. So he would find a racing motorcycle from one gentleman, and then, you know, in his collecting, he would then somehow come across the helmet that he had, articles on this particular fella, his old, you know, iron racing shoe. And so even though history had separated all these things, Dale was able to bring all these things back and put them together again.
Dale had a really great, uncanny knack of knowing, you could tell him, like, I needed a certain part, and 3, 4, 5 years later, he would he would remember it, and you know, it would show up. I remember telling him once, like, I needed a quadrant bolt for the rear freewheel clutch on my 1914, and like 3 years later, here this original one shows up in a blister pack, and like out of nowhere, you know, he just remembered that. I know someone, and so that always was like the coolest thing, because you could tell him something you never knew, but you know, at some point it was going to happen.
It's just an incredible, contagious enthusiasm and a personality that just drew people to him. You know, I don't think there'll ever be anybody else like him.
If Dale were here right now, I would say to Dale something that I told him many, many times, that yours is a life well lived.
All I can say is, well done.
Look at the foundation you've created.
A pretty incredible accomplishment, what you did here, and it affects people far beyond what I thought he ever dreamed that it would.
I know I wouldn't be the person I am today without this museum and the impact he personally had on me.
Thank you, Dale, for what you've done for me and what you've done for the motorcycle community worldwide.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
I love you.
Tell him how much I love him and how much I miss him.
How proud I am of you, and always will be, of the legacy that you built and what you left for the Waxler family to continue on with, and for generations of our visitors to come that are going to be able to see what you created.
Hey, buddy.
Let's get to work. Let's get that thing running.
Thanks for being my friend.
How much I appreciate allowing me to be a part of this whole museum.
Let's go get Dad and take him for a ride.
Yeah, I'd tell him to lay a black mark about 50 feet through the building. And make a lot of noise.
He was good at that.
He enjoyed that.
God, I love that motorcycle. Thank you, everybody. That's it for the show.
Stay connected with Born to Ride Media. Like and share with your friends on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Let us know you're out there. See more at borntoride.com.
Jeremy Brer. I own Pinellas Automotive, located in Valrico, Florida. We specialize in American and Japanese. European, I can get through them, we can get by them, but my main focus and specialized skill set is Toyota, Lexus, Acura, Honda, and all the Americans, Ford, Chevy. I started the repair shop back in 2012. Formerly Pinellas Automotive Services of Tampa. I ran it from 2012 to 2015. This I did after I got out of the Marine Corps. I served from 2007 and 2011, Afghan campaign in Marj, Afghanistan. Now I work on everything from your sports car all the way out to your lifted trucks.
I decided to pursue a career in law because it gives me an opportunity to help people. When a client chooses us to represent them, they're entrusting us with a huge responsibility. It's our goal to exceed their expectations with our personalized service and to help them to achieve the best possible recovery to compensate them for their injuries.
That's where we come in. We come in and we solve that problem for them and really set them on the right track in order to try and get back to what their life was like before the accident happened.
Is your business becoming invisible? Create a great advertising relationship today with Born to Ride.
Ride.
Thanks for tuning in to Born to Ride TV, the longest running biker TV show in the world. This week,
It's back to Choppertown from Thunder by the Bay. See the incredible designs of Casper Branski and see his hand-built international chopper. Also, see Sean Wenzel's matching Way Cool Triumph and Ford pickup truck that happens to have quite the story behind it. And are you going to the High Seas Rally?
all this and more here on Born to Ride.
Born to Ride is brought to you in part by 866 Law Fran. Ride safe, ride smart. Offices in Palm Harbor.
I decided to pursue a career in law because it gives me an opportunity to help people. When a client chooses us to represent them, they're entrusting us with a huge responsibility. It's our goal to exceed their expectations with our personalized service and to help them to achieve the best possible recovery to compensate them for their injuries.
That's where we come in. We come in and we solve that problem for them and really set them on the right track in order to try and get back to what their life was like before the accident happened.
Kim Coates, I play Tig Traeger, Sons of Anarchy, and you are watching Born to Ride TV.
Welcome to Choppertown!
It started out as just a aftermarket frame that was really freaking ugly. So I went over and started recreating some aspects of it, and got carried away a little bit. It's supposed to be just an average old chopper build, and yeah, one thing led to another, and now it's all this polished metal going on here. Everything's in bare steel. I made the tanks and the tins. All the tins are bare aluminum. All polished, handmade, beating on a wooden stump and all that kind of jazz. So yeah, it's a 113 S&S Evo motor. Had it out of another bike, dynoed out at like 135 horse, so should be a bit of a handful to ride as well. Yeah, and a Gym 6-speed box, and and the whole concept of it is just go fast and all bare metal, Oh, dude, long term of events, moved down to Florida, got, picked up a job here and brought my bike over and, started to go around some shows and stuff, met a few people and found out about Choppertown, and so we came on down. It is cool, man. Like, everything's super retro nostalgic, all my 60s, 70s vibes and everything. It's cool. It's really, really cool. It's fun to see that it's still, alive and well. Started out as building it in Sweden. I was building it for a customer and over there, and like I said, one thing led to another, and we're talking about, making it Daytona and stuff like that, so we brought it over here and finishing it up stateside. And so, yeah, it's just continuing his journey. Hopefully, at some point, it'll make some miles under its own power, The frame was just, it was all tubes and flat plate, welded together really badly. And basically just sculpted everything out of metal, whether it was welding bits on or, I changed the dropouts and stuff, like made those out of, plate and stuff, welded them together, pieced them together, and then, shaped it and blended it all together. Kind of like, a little bit of a 60s, 70s style, you know, where the frame's molded and stuff, but it's not Bondo. It's all bare metal, and considering maybe chrome plating it purely just so it doesn't go rusty. But it's all, you know, it's all shaped out of steel. So yeah, and same with the tins, you know. Hard work and determination, that's for sure. But it's a love-hate relationship. It's, you know, it's one of those things, you know, you get the concept down and you spend, you know, 60-70% of the time making it, and then you got the rest of the time to actually finish it. That's where the challenge is, you know, or even the last 5-10%. So they're quite blown away, actually. Yeah, they're a lot of people can't quite believe it, because normally you see it and it is Bondo and, you know, painted and stuff, which is fine, nothing wrong with that, you know, it looks cool and everything. But it's a little different, you know, and I tried doing something different with it. My thing is I'm a coach builder, so I do everything sheet metal shaping, and I tried to combine a flow of the metal shaping with the chassis fabrication part of it. So, you know, obviously, like I say, in metal. So that's kind of the aspect I was going for. Yeah, and people seem to dig it. So.
This is Heather, and we're here with Born to Ride at Sarasota Fairgrounds for the Thunder by the Bay, and we just came across a wonderful cause and a wonderful venue. JT is here with High Seas Rally, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about it and what they do. Hi, JT. How are you?
Hi. Thank you so much. Yeah, High Seas Rally is an absolute blast. We take over an entire cruise ship. It's the world's only motorcycle rally on a cruise ship. We take it over. It's 3,000 bikers on board and no one else. It's a 7-day cruise out of Port Canaveral, and it goes to Coco Cay and Nassau, Puerto Plata, which is in the Dominican Republic, and Labadee is a private beach for only our ship in Haiti for the day that we're going to be there. We give away loads and loads of money because we raise loads of money for our very own High Seas Rally Dialysis Fund. We also do work with the Wounded Warrior Project as well. But our High Seas Dialysis Fund is, we bring on about a dozen dialysis patients, and we bring their nurses with them, and it's something they would never be able to do otherwise, and we give them the vacation of a lifetime. The cruise has been going on for 20 years, and this makes us feel really good to be able to give this opportunity to those patients.
We love High Seas Rally, and we really hope to be out there with you. Not only do you get to go on a cruise, you also get to enter to win something special. Look at this. You could enter and win this amazing bike. This is a fantastic beauty. Look at that. And I'm here with Xavier, who is the builder, the fabricator of this bike, correct?
Absolutely. I have a company in Austin, Texas called Providence Cycle Works. I've been in business for about 4 years after I left my band Buck Cherry after 20 years. I got involved with the High Seas Rally because they happened to call me up and they said that they were looking for a new way to give away a motorcycle on their ship. They had given away Polarises and stock Indians and Harleys with some bolt-on stuff, and one of them said, well, how about a full-blown custom? The greatest thing about it for me was the fact that not only the honor to build a bike for them, but the charity that's behind it, which is a dialysis foundation, which my brother's on dialysis, so it was near and dear to my heart. It was definitely a labor of love because, again, I said about the foundation, but the bike is built off of a titled HD chassis, so the frame is completely one-off, the tank is a one-off, the fender, the oil bag. I mean, I personally threw the kitchen sink at it because I wanted somebody to like really, really enjoy it. It's cool, man. It's literally built off of an 80-inch motor, 5-speed, no super massive horsepower because I wanted it rideable. It has an air ride suspension, but it also has a thing called an M unit, which is a ignition unit which handles all of the electrics. That is Bluetooth linkable.
Well, you did a phenomenal job. I would love to win it, but I hope and pray that somebody that is well-deserving gets your labor of love.
So, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and you keep on making these beautiful, beautiful machines.
World's only motorcycle rally on a cruise ship. Free drinks and 13 months to pay. And it sails October 29th through November 5th, 2022. $100 discount per cabin. Use promo code BTR. For more info, go to highseasrally.com. That's the High Seas Rally, October 29th through November 5th, 2022. Don't miss the High Seas Rally.
Josh D. Benedetto here with JD Choppers SC. We're at Chopper Town Live. Be back with more Born to Ride. In San Antonio in boxes years ago, and spent several years putting it together, kind of a labor of love. And this is his daily driver, Bobber, and he had this truck painted about a decade ago and had some paint left over when he built this bike, and just went ahead and painted it the same color so they go together. We didn't even intend to come down here and be in the show. We were just coming down to see it, and we'd be pulled up. He was like, put that thing in there, you know? So it kind of worked out. My pop was ecstatic. You know, these are his babies right here, so it was just really cool. He had to roll out and take off back to South Carolina, so he left me the keys to drive everything home. Yeah, I mean, I learned how to drive in this truck when it was all original, 3-speed on the tree. He taught me and my sister to drive in this when we were kids. You know, 12, 13, sitting in the seat on the back road in the country. And then he restored it and hopped it up and put a 5-speed, and it's kind of our little hot rod truck now. You I missed out on it last year, and I wanted to make a point to come down here. I had a group that came down, and we had a whole convoy down here with some of the old bands and everything, and we have had a fantastic time. It's been a great event. Everybody's been super welcoming. Like I said, we had no intention to have this truck in here, and it was just like, park it in the back. That's cool. See you next week on Born to Ride.
We'd like to say a big thank you to James and Jamie Irwin from healthinsurance65.com, and they were a big sponsor today of Choppertown Live at Thunder by the Bay. And guys, thanks for coming out. And James has been great. He's been on the Born to Ride radio show, callers calling in, answering questions for them, giving them update information, especially around that Medicare time of the year, October. You guys have been phenomenal answering all those confusing questions too.
Yeah. Well, no, it's fantastic. This is, and there's still time if you feel like you made the wrong decision this last open enrollment. There's still time to change your mind and reevaluate what you've done. And if you think that possibly maybe you made the wrong choice, give us a call. There's a good chance that maybe you're right. And if you're right, we'll help. If you're wrong, we'll say, no, you did the right thing. That's as transparent as we are.
So if anyone has any questions, healthinsurance65.com is a good resource to start with, but they can call you anytime, right?
Yeah, they can. All they have to do is dial insurance65.com. You can spell it out, 800-467-4629,
Just always remember, healthinsurance65.com.
You can trust James Irwin for all your life, retirement, health insurance questions or needs. 833-467-2865.
Riding out into the open air. The wind rushes over your helmet. Vibrations trigger your adrenaline. Fragments of color catch your eye. Your senses embrace the power of the journey. Welcome to my world. What's yours? Your ride, your pace, your story. Let's ride this May in Tallahassee.
Wildwood Antique Mall's 3 amazing locations in Florida to find your treasures. Vero Beach, Eustis, Wildwood. More than just antiques, tons of rare collectibles, toys, books, vintage furniture, records, jewelry, and so much more. Open 7 days a week. Great staff, clean, and air-conditioned. A great shopping pleasure for the whole family. Put it on your bucket list because it's a must-see at these 3 locations. For more information, wildwoodantiquemalls.com.
What's going on, Letterboy?
Hey, it's a beautiful day here in Choppertown.
Choppertown Live 2022 is officially in the record books. We can't thank everyone enough, but we can try. First off, there were the builders. Without you, this Screamin' Chopper show wouldn't exist. This event is for you and in large part by you. Born to Ride is grateful for those who came out from Georgia, North and South Carolina, as well as from one end of the state of Florida to the other. You're helping put this event on the map as a must-see yearly event. Next, we have to thank the wives, girlfriends, and families of those builders. We know it takes a lot of hard work and sacrifice to make this yearly trek. Those guys couldn't do what they do without you, which is why this will always be a family-friendly event. We want to give a shout out to North Carolina's Chill Bunnies and Chill Billies for adding another great layer to this custom bike cake. Plus, a big thanks to Rooster's Rod Shop for always keeping the party interesting, just short of getting us kicked out of our building. We also want to thank Orlando street fans. we had some great vans represented at the show. And hopefully next time we can make this as much about you and the van community as the choppers. Thanks to Dave Noterer of Letterfly Art for painting us up some great bowling pin giveaways for the top bike builds. Then we want to say thanks to our friends who helped with the raffle giveaways, such as Mondo from Denver's Chopper, Petco Motorcycle Parts, and Metal Sports Wheels. Thanks to V Rubber Tires for making it possible for us to hand out 5 sets of tires. And a very special thank you to James Irwin of healthinsurance65.com. James is a certified senior advisor, one of only 3,500 in America. Find out about his movie, The Baby Boomer Dilemma, and more at healthinsurance65.com. Even our awesome DJ Robert Norton gave away a couple of great retro-style bar stools to a lucky participant. One of the highlights of the show was when one of our builders, Yogi of Yogi's Garage, fabbed up and gave away an awesome custom one-off oil tank that Eddie Chopper owner would love to show off. In spite of several hurdles, this year's event was an overwhelming success. We're already working on new ideas and look forward to an even better Chopper Town Live next year. Hope to see you there. Thank you from the Born to Ride family. Stay connected with Born to Ride Media. Like and share with your friends on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Let us know you're out there. See more at borntoride.com.
Jeremy Brer. I own Pinellas Automotive, located in Valrico, Florida. We specialize in American and Japanese. European, I can get through them, we can get by them, but my main focus and specialized skill set is Toyota, Lexus, Acura, Honda, and all the Americans, Ford, Chevy. Started the repair shop back in 2012, formerly Pinellas Automotive Services of Tampa. I ran it from 2012 to 2015. This I did after I got out of the Marine Corps. I served from 2007 and 2011, Afghan campaign in Marj, Afghanistan. Now I work on everything from your sports car all the way out to your lifted trucks.
I decided to pursue a career in law because it gives me an opportunity to help people. I enjoy being a passionate advocate for my clients, and I'm so grateful that being a lawyer also allows me to make a positive impact on our community. When a client chooses us to represent them, they're entrusting us with a huge responsibility. It's our goal to exceed their expectations with our personalized service and to help them to achieve the best possible recovery to compensate them for their injuries.
Having been through a serious accident myself, I understand how instantly isolated someone can feel during the immediate aftermath. We try to shed light on a client's situation so that they don't feel so isolated, knowing that they have us on their side, working towards a resolution on their behalf. That's where we come in, and that's what the firm did for me as well. We fight to set clients on the right track so that they can try to get back to the life they had prior to the accident.
A fellow was texting and driving and came across the line and hit me head on. Just a horrific accident. I literally thought I was going to die. You know, I've dealt with thousands of wrecks in my life being on the fire department and never thought I would be in that situation. Fran is a big sponsor of a lot of the restaurant events for bikers and things like that. So I knew that she had a lot of experience in wrecks and things. So she was the first one I thought of to call. She's a bulldog. They found out things that I didn't think were possible to find out. When you're laying in a hospital bed and you're hurting, I understand it. It's scary, but if you have Fran Haasch on your side, it should alleviate a lot of your worries. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
They have their own lives to take care of, whether it's family, a job, or all the above. We endeavor to shield clients from the stressors of an injury claim so that they can try to focus on what is truly important.
The culture of this firm is based on charity, compassion, and I like to surround myself with team members that are going to treat a client like they're part of our family. Community is number one to me. We do a food drive every year. If it's a cancer benefit, a food benefit, something for the animals, something for veterans, we love to be involved in that. The bikers are such a charitable group of people, and they have the biggest hearts. I love being part of that community. This can be devastating to have an accident, and it's just a priority of mine to make sure they get the best medical care possible to make a full recovery.
Is your business becoming invisible? Create a great advertising relationship today with Born to Ride.
Born to Ride.